Hey, everybody, welcome. It's Uncle John, and with me today is Aunt Nikki.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? It's
Boy,
Uncle John and Aunt Nikki of Your Story Hour,
that's
and we're
right.
here to talk about having read books with you guys over quarantine.
Yeah, this is the first time we've actually done a video together,
Yep,
and thanks to computer technology and being able to record with me in Western Pennsylvania and Aunt
I'm in
Nikki,
Michigan.
Western Michigan. So we're a few hundred miles apart. We can still record this together. What we
Yeah,
wanted to do is just have a little way of not really saying goodbye, but kind of saying this has been a lot of fun reading the
it
5 books that we've read together. It has been
has.
a lot of fun. We've read 5 entire chapter books. Five,
We put in, there was a fair bit of reading.
a fair bit of reading. Now, Aunt Nikki, you
hmm
you told us when we were just getting started reading that you had never read Looney Coon before.
That's true. It's funny because I have a bunch of the Sam Campbell books, and I grew up hearing them, and I had the Neil Wayne Northey books. Those are books that I've read to my kids. I grew up hearing them, but I never read Looney Coon. So it was a new story for me.
Yeah, Looney Coon was one of my favorites with Warden Ollie and Grandma Honker.
Yeah.
In
They're
fact,
fun.
my grandmother
hmm
was a school teacher, and when she was teaching in upstate New York, she read the book Looney Coon to her classroom, and
Fun.
they nicknamed her, and everybody called her Grandma Honker after that. She she liked to watch birds, and every year they had a big migration of geese come through, and so my grandma, for her students, got called Grandma Honker. Anyway,
Very fun. Now, you said there were a couple of books you hadn't read before we started
yeah, I
this.
hadn't read either one of the Northie books that we read.
Ah.
In one of the school libraries,
hmm
when I was a kid growing up, we had Paddletail Beaver, which is I think the third book in this
I
set.
think the third. There's 4 books in a
There's
series.
four, and I've actually got the fourth one, which
Oh,
is Wild Creatures in the Winter.
in winter.
Yep.
Yep.
But so I had read Paddletail Beaver, but I'd never read
You hadn't read the first two?
Bluebirds. No, I hadn't. Had fun though, a lot of fun.
Yes.
I, I have to say, there was a part of me that was like, oh, it's not going to be Sam Campbell, and I love his books and his writing so much. But I had a lot of fun reading these, and it was a bit of an adventure trying to come up with different voices for the different bird
Yes.
animal, the different birds and animals. And I have to say that I didn't always do very good at it, but hopefully you had as much fun listening to me try as I had trying. So
It does. It adds some flavor to the story and it's fun. It does catch us off guard though, because I know with Sam and Ginny, I'll often kind of change my voice to being more
mhm,
of a little deeper voice for Sam and a little
right.
higher voice for Ginny. But there were times I'd be reading along and all of a sudden I'm like, da 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 da, because I thought it was Ginny. And all of a sudden I was like, Sam said, and I was like, oh, the rest of the sentence
Yeah,
I need to now drop lower. So it caught us
yeah.
off
A
guard,
lot of
but
times the
it's
writer will
that's
just
live for you.
right. A lot of times the writer will just launch into the line, and if you
hmm
didn't pre-read,
Yeah.
which actually, I never intended to pre-read,
hmm
but I would make so many mistakes the first time through that I just got so that I would delete the first recording and and then and
Record it
re-record it.
again.
So I ended up doing a pre-read.
Gotcha.
Uh, you'd be
Some
wondering,
of them, there were definitely times I had to stop and restart because I'm like, okay, later it's like if I did too many bobbles in the beginning, I would absolutely start. And then it's definitely
mhm.
smoother when you pre-read. And
Oh
some
yeah,
of them is like make a mistake later and it's like, oh, well, we'll just leave it in. Because you know what? As everybody reads, as all our people who've been listening, boys
that's
and
right.
girls and adults, there's times that you read that you make mistakes and that's okay.
Yeah, it's going to happen
It
unless
is.
you practice and practice and practice, or
Mhm.
you go back and delete all your mistakes. but
Exactly.
but it's hard when when you're reading, like in Loony Coon, which was the first one,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Sam Campbell's books had much longer chapters than the
Much.
Northey books. In fact, in Sam Campbell's books, we would always just read a chapter. Just read, each one
Mm-hmm.
was just a single chapter. But in the Northey books, they were so short that we were reading 2 chapters, and even with that, those 2 chapters together were much shorter than the books,
Yeah.
the chapters we got out of Sam Campbell's books.
Yep.
Um, but the thing is, both of them would do this: is they would launch into a line being, from one of the characters, and
You
until
don't
you
know who
get
it
to the
is
end of it,
until
you don't know who it is. So if you
that's right.
haven't pre-read it, you
You don't
just
know who
don't
it is.
know. It would have been nice if they would have
That's
had
true.
like, and I actually thought about going through and writing notes in the margin so that, but I just didn't have the time to take to
I
do
just
that.
didn't have the
So.
time.
Yeah. Especially in Salt and Pepper, there was one chapter I read, and it's one that somebody's asked me to redo because my mic cut out on that, and I'm sorry. But that was a
Oh,
long chapter to reread, and I haven't been able to do it yet. So
I know that I think the longest I read in Too Much Salt and Pepper was like 35 minutes. So people listening kind of invest some time to hear these books
yeah,
with us.
yeah. And I had one that I read it, and I read it all in one sitting, 42
Hmm.
minutes, one chapter. I was like,
That's a long
and
chapter.
I had no, I mean, I kind of did the pages, and I said, wow, this is pushing 30 pages. And
Yeah.
and then when I actually read it, I said, well, yeah, that was long. But it didn't feel that way. The time kind of rolled. You get engrossed into what you're doing. Now,
Me too. They're good stories.
one of the things that came out that I
Hmm.
didn't know about you, I knew about me,
Okay.
but I didn't know about you until then, was
Yeah.
you talked about how you have to make some allowances or adjustment in terms of you having a small degree of dyslexia.
I do. I was never formally diagnosed as a kid. But as an adult, I have looked back and realized, yes, I do. I transpose numbers. I get certain things mixed up, like when I read. And yeah, there's definitely was like, oh, I've got some dyslexia, and
Yeah.
just something you move on with and keep going and keep reading.
Yeah.
And you
Well,
said it's something you had.
yeah, I have known that I had dyslexia. Like with you, it wasn't really formally diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were both elementary school teachers and very good readers,
Mm-hmm.
and because my mom was a reading specialist in terms of her
Oh.
specialty,
Mm-hmm.
she just kind of I was slow learning to read, or at least slower than the other students, but I was
Mm-hmm.
for the most part always able to stay within my grade level
Nice.
with the work that I was able to do. It was just
Mm-hmm.
for me, my experience with all the other students in my grades were always better readers than I was. It started really getting noticeable to me how much slower I was at reading when I was in high
Mm-hmm.
school, and I would
Mm.
be reading, like be assigned something to read in class or something, and we're reading silently, and
Mhm.
I'm hearing the pages flip, and I'm
Ah,
just I'm not even halfway through the page, and they've already one
interesting.
page, and they've already read two. I'm like, oh
Wow.
man, I'm a lot slower. The truth is, I can't read silently any faster than I can read out loud. So, I mean, you may be
Yeah,
hearing me
and that's okay
blazing along. Well, my mouth is able to easily keep up with the
to
rest of
keep up.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
and
that's part of life, and so
yeah.
we just keep reading.
But I love reading. And that's the thing is, if, I know there's some people out there that are far more profoundly affected by dyslexia than I am,
Yes.
far more. I have,
Yes.
I have 2 children that are, uh,
Mm.
2 children, one daughter and one son that are
Mhm.
both very significantly dyslexic.
Mm.
But they are able to read. One
Nice.
has graduated with a bachelor's degree from college. That's
Mhm.
my eldest, and
Mhm.
my youngest hasn't yet gone to college yet. But they're both able to read, and they both do well. And
Good.
so, it's one of those things. And we actually, one of the things I really enjoyed about this, we don't get a
Hmm.
chance when we're recording in the studio to get any feedback from our listeners. And when
That was, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that was one of the things that was really nice about doing this because, I would record and then I'd have to upload it onto YouTube, which was a whole new
Mhm.
thing for me. I've never uploaded anything to YouTube before this. And I would see the comments and I was like, oh, I get to see what people are saying and to chat back with people.
Yeah.
And that was really fun.
That was really special. And
Hmm.
partway through Loony Coon, it actually, I got inspired to fish for comments. And,
Ask
and I,
people, hey,
and
what
that,
animals do you
yeah,
see?
tell us about the animals that are in your neighborhood. And actually,
Yes,
I'm still getting comments. I actually got a few
I've
emails
seen that.
from different places
Oh,
all over the
nice.
world, Australia, Africa. I
Oh,
think I
nice.
got one from South America. Yeah, so of
Very
course, North
cool.
America. So I got at least 4 continents out of it. Uh, so
There you
that was
go.
kind of cool. And
That is.
and hearing from you listeners, that was, I think, developing that kind of connection with the listeners that were
Was a
listening
good
to
thing.
it. I mean, normally when the stories, we kind of we're not much we're not much more than listeners on the on the radio program. We introduce a story that Aunt Carol is going to tell us, and then the
Hmm.
actors take over. And in many cases, the listeners, I'll let you in. Sometimes with these stories,
Hmm.
we don't hear the story, and yet we're saying, "Wow, that's so incredible!" And we're like, "Okay, I don't know what this is about." And sometimes our station manager has to tell us a little bit about more what's going on in the story, just so that we can know what's going on. But with this, there were no other actors; it was all just us. And
It was all
so
just us.
it what
It was all just
it
us.
was all just us. And because of that, I feel like I'm a little more connected with the story and with the listeners. And I just love the comments that came in, and relating to the people that way.
Yeah.
One special comment that came in was from
Hmm.
Joelle, and it was related to the dyslexia comments that we made in regards to one episode. And this came in partway through our reading of the Mallards. And I don't remember where we
Okay.
made it, whether it was in the Bluebirds or the Mallards, which one it was. But
I think it was in the Mallards because I saw that comment almost
early,
immediately.
early, yep. So
Hmm.
she said, we love the stories you're reading. Thank you. And yes, please do keep the stories coming. Also, I can't remember which chapter you shared about your struggle with reading, but thank you so much for doing so. My daughter is dyslexic, and it is so encouraging for her to hear a great reader share that they struggled in the past and even now make mistakes. Thank you. Well, I don't know that I'm a great reader, but or Aunt Nikki, she's a great reader, but
Oh, well, thanks.
modesty demands that I be humble about it. But the truth is, in most ways, I'm a fairly average reader. I do enjoy the stories, and I hope that comes out as I'm reading it, that I really am enjoying
Yes,
the
that definitely
storytelling.
does.
Yeah,
And I know, like she said, and we've heard from other people, they ask, when are you going what's the next book? When are you going to read more? And at this point, we started doing this specifically during the
yeah,
stay in place with the quarantining and trying to keep people safe for our health, for everybody's health. And so we just Uncle John had the idea, and so we started doing this. And so now that these orders have been lifted and quarantining is less in effect, it's the COVID virus is still around, so we
yeah.
still need to be careful and
We're
social
still
distance and
adjusting our
masks.
lives. Yeah,
We are. We're making choices still to be healthy. But we chose to start reading this during that time just as a way to give people one more thing to do while at home.
yeah,
And so we've decided at this point we're going to stop for a while. We may or may not revisit reading a book. It will definitely always be an option. But we thought we'd end with this little chat together
yeah.
just to share why we started doing it and the joys we had with it. And we're just grateful that you guys enjoyed. And it was very nice hearing comments because I'm like, okay, we're putting stories out there. We're just reading books to you guys. And it's like, do they like it? I would watch how many videos, how many times have people been watching to know, is this making a difference? So it seemed to, and I am glad we were able to bless people that way.
Me too. It was so simple. It really cost us almost nothing.
Just some time.
Maybe a little electricity, time. And I love doing it, and I know you did. Aunt
I
Carol
did.
in Loony Coon, she enjoyed doing it, but she was
She
having some technical
did.
difficulties that it was taking her hours and hours longer just to upload it
Yeah.
than it did for
It,
us. So,
yeah, she was in the mountains and just the internet connection didn't allow it. And she was really disappointed because she was very much looking forward to being part of reading The Bluebirds and Their Neighbors. She really liked that book.
mhm.
And so, yeah, she was disappointed.
Well,
But
like you said, it's an option for us to do it again. Maybe a book here and there. In my
maybe.
mind, that's what I'm envisioning. At some point, maybe at a holiday or something, we could say, "Hey, let's read a book." It only takes us a few weeks, and if we plan it out a little bit in advance, uh, we can each even pre-record, our chapters. These were not
So
much
you just know,
pre-recorded. Sometimes
no, these were not.
when I was uploading it, I just uploaded it to live because
I
they were
did
being
too.
recorded today. Very few were recorded in advance.
Yeah, it was, yeah. There was definitely days I was like, "Oh no, I gotta read. I gotta go read now."
Yeah.
So,
Well,
well,
everybody, moms and dads, boys and girls, grandmas, grandpas, and I know we had all of those out there.
neighbors, cousins,
Yes.
friends.
Thank you so much for joining us in this journey. We hope you have enjoyed Looney Coon and Inky and Salt and Pepper, the Mallards and their neighbors, and the Bluebirds and their neighbors.
And their
We hope you
neighbors.
enjoyed getting to know them as much as we enjoyed
Mhm.
sharing them with you. And
Yes.
we're planning to leave them up there on the YouTube channel until I guess.
They will be left up for a while. I don't know how long. I don't know if there's storage space issues, but
Yeah,
I confirmed with Julie, the president, and they will be up for a while because I said, they're going to be up. And then I was like, Julie, are they going to stay up? So I do know they'll be up for a while. So you
unless
guys can
there's
come back and
unless there's
re-listen.
limitations that we don't foresee at this point,
Yep.
they'll be there for you to
Well,
listen.
everyone, thank you so much. That's right. And remember, you can still always listen to the Your Story Hour stories. They put the free ones up weekly.
Yep.
Keep listening. We are so thankful for you guys to join us.
It's been
Take
really, it's been
Go
really
ahead, John.
it's been really fun giving you this opportunity to get to know Aunt Nikki and I a little better.
Yep. Well, everyone, thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Take care and God bless.
God bless, and we love you all. Bye bye.
We do.